U.S. airlines are canceling hundreds of flights because of the federal government shutdown. Authorities have ordered a 10% reduction in air traffic. The shutdown, caused by Republicans and Democrats failing to agree on funding plans, began on October the 1st and is now the longest in history. Officials say flights must be cut to maintain aviation safety.
At New York's JFK Airport, runways are open, but there's less traffic overhead. Travelers are worried the cuts could disrupt their plans or even leave them stranded.
Well, I'm a little nervous, but it's a trip I have to take. I have a relative who's not feeling well, so can't let the circumstances stop me.
Thousands of flights nationwide have already been canceled or delayed. But for many passengers, it looks like any other day at the airport.
I expected a lot of lines, angry people, frustrated people, but again, there's nothing, it looks normal.
Transportation officials say that calm is by design.
We've talked about lowering the number of flights. And so we were going to do 10% right away. The safety team said that could be even more disruptive. We should actually phase this in, to which we've done that. Today is the first day, 4% reduction.
Starting next week, flights will get scaled back further, reaching a 10% reduction. The Federal Aviation Administration says safety remains its top priority, and that it's ready to cut air traffic even more, while controllers work without pay because of the government shutdown, now the longest in history. If there is no deal by Tuesday, federal employees will miss a second paycheck, raising concerns about people failing to get to work. With the holiday season approaching, pressure is mounting on Congress to end the shutdown before things get even worse.
Journalist Jason Campidonia of NBC News and iHeartRadio in Los Angeles joins us. Jason, you're in LA, one of the major travel hubs affected by these flight cuts. What are you hearing about the impact?
Well, today, the first day of the cuts, wasn't too bad. You know, I'm just a few miles down the road from LAX and LAX International. And we didn't see long lines or confusion or anybody getting irate at the airport. So far, so good. I will say that the Transportation Secretary, Sean Duffy, has come out and said, hey, the worst is yet to come. So we are kind of bracing for the worst, especially with the Thanksgiving holiday, less than a month away, just a couple of weeks away. So if the reduction in force continues, that may pose a problem with some holiday travel. But I mean, we haven't seen anybody get to the airport and freak out because their flight has been canceled. This is highly publicized, and I think people bracing for the worst are also preparing for the worst and doing the right thing by calling ahead, you know, watching the flight websites and watching their airline websites and paying attention to warnings. So we haven't seen any chaos just yet.
Jason, you mentioned Thanksgiving. How worried are people this will eventually affect those travel plans?
So, you know, it really depends on who you talk to, but it's the government shutdown that's causing the reduction in force, right? So if the knuckleheads in Washington, D.C. can't get their act together and get this thing rolling again, then people are going to be really upset because for Thanksgiving, we all go over the hills and through the woods to grandma's house we go. That's where we have pumpkin pie. You can't keep pumpkin pie from people. People will be upset when travel plans like that get disrupted. It's the most traveled day in the United States.
Right.
Roughly about, 40, 50 million people travel for the holiday. So that's going to cause some trouble.
I'm a fan of pumpkin pie as well, Jason. How are people feeling about this government shutdown in general? There must be pressure on politicians to resolve this standoff?
There are, right? There's a lot of pressure for this to happen. People aren't getting their paycheck. People won't be able to celebrate Christmas, a month or so away. And these kinds of things are starting to pile up. And, when people don't get their paychecks, they're not able to put food on the table. Tensions are high. But it boils down to, well, the Democrats want to do this and the Republicans want to do that. So you're urging your lawmakers just to come to some sort of agreement just so we can get things moving again. And right now, last time that the government was shut down during the last Trump presidency, it was the threat of the airlines being shut down that caused the government shutdown to stop. And then we got things going again. We got together and it was, calmer minds prevailed. But this time it doesn't seem to be working. It seems like, other things are also happening. People aren't getting their food assistance.
Right.
So that's causing some tension. So there's a lot of different avenues here to this government shutdown.
So a lot of things to watch out for. Jason Cabadonia, journalist at NBC News and iHeartRadio in Los Angeles. Thanks so much.
Thank you.